Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of Edis, and you are in for a treat today because I am doing What If Asta Was Yuja's Reincarnation Part 7. This will be covering the rest of the entire arc that I have set up, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and future ones I'll be coming out. And I really hope you like this because I'll be exploring a bit about the domain that Yuta has. In my opinion, this domain that I've made could very well be a thing. It kind of makes sense and it relates to Yuta as a person overall. So honestly, yeah. And also it's really fun. I get to revisit some characters that I love and have them just be there, have their thing, and just destroy Zagrid and just help out. Anyway, you'll see what I mean when the part comes up. I hope you enjoy. This is a long video, about 40 minutes. You're welcome, and let's begin. So, with everything that happened in the last part, with the elves coming back and all of that, and Asta and Yuno fighting Licht, and then he and everyone else leaving, we will flash forward, and the humans are heading over to the Clover capital on Nozel's silver carpet. Mereleona and the others have sustained a bit of damage and a bit of magic loss. However, using Nozel's magic device, they get healed. Asta, meanwhile, is so fine that he can still fly on his own, and Nozel would ask, how many more times can you use per speech? Don't worry, if I bring out Rika, it'll be a sitch. Yuno then says, Asta, look! As they look forward, they see Hodge, and the two look to each other and say they'll be leaving, as Nozel would then say to meet back up as soon as they could. And they nod, and Noelle will then ask if she can come along, but Nozel then says that, no, you're noble, you'll be coming with me. Oh, now you pick a good time to be a good sport, says Noelle. Times of crisis call for cooperation, says Nozel. I'm so happy for you, Noelle, thought Mimosa. Meanwhile, Noelle was actually legitimately annoyed because she's changed from the original. She legitimately does not like him. Asta and Yuno then flew forward past the giant skull, and they would find vines spreading from one point, their house, and as they get closer and closer, they find their siblings about to be attacked, and in that instant, they appear right before Sister Lily, and now she was about to counterattack and blow away the elf spell, leaving them shocked. What the hell do you think you're doing? Yuno says as he releases a massive spirit storm that sends it to the elves, with Asta then saying not to kill him, and as the elf craters into the ground, Yuno then says he knows, and the two then turn to see everyone. Been a while, huh, says Asta. Nash would almost burst into tears as he would then say that he's so happy to see them because, well, Father Orsi is really hurt and he can't get up, and neither can any of the men who tried to protect them and adults who try to help them in general. Asta, however, would then raise his hand and his anti-magic katana falls out and he catches it as he tightens his grip. Slowly, he then sees all the other adults affected by the elf spell start to be relieved of its effects. The mana corroding them leaves their bodies, leaving Yuno surprised because it shouldn't be possible because the spell was already affecting the humans, so it shouldn't be able to be released. So this means that Asta had grown once again. With the adults not being cured, the kids and Miss Miss Lily, I guess you could say. Yeah, Miss Lily, whatever. Lily would then cry tears of happiness as Yuno then runs over and comforts them, and Asta meanwhile will then walk to the beaten elf and ask Liebe, could it work? He hears no response but tries to cancel out the spell anyway in his own way, but then Liebe says, it'll work. Hearing this, Asta would then smile as he would attack the elf with his katana, and this instantly returns him to normal, and he would now be a human again, and those who begin to rise notice this, and as he puts away the spell, Asta would then take the hate of the elf as well as his burden, thus giving him more cursed energy because he just has more negativity, and he would burst with this energy, and the villagers would be saying, yep, same old Asta, looks like he's the key to this whole thing. Asta then nervously turns, saying, oh, hey guys. The villagers then smile at him as Yuno will then arrive with the kids, who then run to him and hug him, and he returns the gesture. But Yuno would say, we have to go. Already? Man, this really is a whole problem, huh, says Orsi. We'll take care of it, don't worry, says Asta. He would then begin to float as would Yuno while he grasps the purple Orcus mage, who at the moment begin to wake up, he was the elf, and Orsi would then say, oh right, you've definitely done well for yourselves, huh? Good luck out there, don't get hurt, the villagers would be saying, and with a nod, the two then fly off while saying goodbye, telling them to also hide and, stay safe. As they soar through the skies, Yuno would then ask, hey, you, why are you here to begin with? I was just trying to make people see the purple Orcus differently, so you came here to the Forsaken Realm. Not a bad strategy, says Asta. But, what's going on, he would ask. We're under attack. I'm gonna head south, you go north. I can not sense elf magic, but there's a specific malice that's familiar to me over there. Someone from the Bulls, asks Yuno, and as he nods, Yuno would then say that's fair enough, and they promise to meet back in the capital before then quickly going separate ways. On the south side, we then find Magna and Vanessa fighting back against Luck, who had become possessed, and moving at the speed of lightning, the elf, Raphael, would move about like a pinball, confusing the two, as Vanessa is unable to use her Cat of Fate, and this is when Raphael would then yell, do you humans think you can still win against me? He would then move so fast that Magna wasn't able to notice him strike him in the stomach with his electric claws, but Magna's fate would then change as luck would then appear meters past the mage. Oh, that thing. Interesting magic, Ruffo would say, as he would then notice the cat of fate land on his shoulder before then quickly dissipating as he would try to claw at it, and it returns to Vanessa, who says, "Luck, don't make us fight you. You think you're still gonna win, don't you? Fine. I'm gonna stop messing around." He instantly appears in front of Magna, grabbing him by the throat and lifting him to the sky before then blowing away Vanessa with a blast of lightning. However, the witch would still try to get up, and she forces her cat of fate back into existence, as Magna would then say, "We don't know who you are, but we're talking to that idiot you're possessing. He's an annoying little shit sometimes, but he's like my little brother. I won't let you ruin his body. You humans usually break at this point. I'm not buying it. You want me to believe that your bonds are real? Please, this human soul has already been extinguished by the spell." Magna, however, says, "Then why is he crying?" And the elf would have just noticed that he was leaking tears, and his mind could not comprehend this. He just couldn't comprehend it because it shouldn't be possible at all, and all he could do was kill. So as he pulled back his arm, he went to claw Magna alive. Regardless, Magna and Vanessa only kept screaming for luck, when Raphael would then yell, "Shut up! Luck, stop it." An overwhelming feeling of fear then overtakes the elf as it then freezes and instantly disappears, appearing a few feet back, while Asta would catch the falling Magna, and he stares down his friend. "Nice to meet you. My name's Asta." "You're that human. How can someone be so unloved by mana?" said the elf. Asta then lays down Magna and says, "It's not a matter of being loved by it. I don't know how to use it to begin with." Raphael could feel the overwhelming power that Licht had described to him about and everyone else, but regardless, in that moment, all he could trust was his speed and power, and with a giant grin, he blitzed past Asta as he started to surround him with multiple after images. And Asta began to spin around, however, as he held his hand out and he began to be covered by anti-magic. I guess this counts as a curse too. As Raphael went to attack, he instantly finds himself caught, with Asta then grabbing his head, and instantly the reincarnation spell then breaks, sending out massive shockwaves. As a side effect, like usual, Asta gained new memories, and this time he gets more into the genocidal side towards the elves. Like, he gets brutal, like, details. It's very, very, very gory. However, the elf also peeks into Asta's memories for a moment, and his true face would then show as he would be crying. "How can you handle that much hate? How?" Asta is visibly surprised and then smiles, saying, "Because I had good people around me." "Oh, I wish I met more humans like you." Raphael then fades and Luck comes into being as he would be crying, saying, "Sorry." Asta then ruffles his hair, saying, "It's all good. You should be apologizing to the town, though." As he looks around, Luck then finds that he has left everything in ruins and gains a look of embarrassment, so he retorts to an instinct and calls Magna an idiot. "What the hell you mean idiot, you idiot?" says Magna. "He's just trying to hide his embarrassment," says Vanessa. "At least he didn't kick you this time. I let it slide because you came back. So good for you, idiot." With a smile, Luck then says thank you, and Vanessa says not to worry, as she evacuated everyone else before they fought, so it's all good anyway. "But Asta, how did you break the spell?" asked Vanessa. "I used the concept of reverse curse technique and applied it to the curse I took from Henry Senpai. Then we might actually be able to pull this off," says Magna. So they all nod and begin to move out, as Luck would actually still show that he still remembered the magic that the elf used, and used it himself, much to Magna's annoyance, and he vows to get stronger. So, as they make it back to base, they find it destroyed and see Henry, Gordon, and Gray, who say Ghost had been possessed, so now they have to get him back. Charmy then arrives, and is angered that her garden was ruined, so she uses her magic to make everyone recover. They recover their mana, and in Asta's case, he just gets a good meal, gets a little bit more energy. And this recovery also allows Henry to make his golem out of the building again, and using the Black Bull formation, they then charge towards the kingdom. On the way, they come across a big town and find that there are elves present there as well, with one of them creating a gigantic wall of earth to stop the formation, only for it to be blown through by the gigantic Black Bull, and this leaves the present humans who were beaten, whether they were knights or citizens, and the elves at a loss for words, just as the bull would then strike down at the elves, who dodged just in time. However, that entrance is making everything shake, so Vanessa, for example, uses her string to catch falling rubble, and Charmy does the same thing with her cotton balls and stuff like that, and the people are relieved, saying, "It's the Black Bulls. We're saved." And Elf then throws an attack at the formation, however, as he would then freeze it with ice while piercing it, only for the Black Bulls to then yell, "Combination spell, Asta Cannon." They shoot at Asta at the Elves, who, after recognizing him, quiver, and Asta would slash, releasing a gigantic dark slash that buries them into the ground, and they would instantly lose consciousness. "As long as the bulls are together, you have no chance of beating us," Asta would say, as he would then descend, and as he lands, he's then startled by cheers from his team and the surrounding citizens, who would be thanking the bulls, and he would then say to bring in all the hurt people so they can, of course, heal them. And Asta proceeds to also free the humans from the reincarnation spell, thus gaining memories again and gaining more cursed energy to refill himself. and this lets him use reverse cursed energy more to heal more of the townspeople. He also heals the knights who were present, so they take the people somewhere safe while the bulls get ready to leave again, but falling from a portal right in front of them would be Sally, Valtos, and Rades. They're the ones who attacked the hideout, Gordon would yell, as Tommy would then say, "You ruined my vegetable garden. I'm gonna destroy you." As she becomes filled with bloodlust, however, Asta would then grab and put her on her shoulder as he would then pat her, saying to calm down. "What do you want?" Asta would ask. "Revenge," stated the undead mage, as this confuses them and they notice that they have looks of complete despair in their eyes, so they wonder what must have happened, and Rades would then say, "That bastard Licht, he used us, he toyed with us, tried to sacrifice us. Let's make a deal. We can use Valtos' magic to go to the places you need to go. You help us get revenge." No one speaks up, however, instinctively leaving things to Asta to respond to, and he would say, "No." "Why? Why not? This helps you," says Rades. "Our goals aren't the same, so this is going to be annoying, but I'm going to need you to atone for your crimes after all of this. Can you make a deal on that? I just wish to hear the truth from Master Licht myself. I don't care what happens after," says Valtos. "I'm just happy to be alive so I can experiment, so why not," says Sally, and Rades would say, "Whatever, I'm gonna kick that guy's teeth in." Asta would then say, "Good. If you feel to honor this vow, then you'll be stripped of your magic." Hearing this, the three instantly feel something hit them, and they ask what he just did, with Asta then saying it's a binding vow. Think of it like a magic contract. You heard the details, right? "Since when could you do that?" asked Magna, and Asta would say, "I use a binding vow on a daily. It's not a big deal. You know the ring I used to summon Rika? Remember?" "Ooh, can I see her?" asked Sally. "She would eat you alive. Rika doesn't do well with your type," says Asta. "Aw." Rades would then say, "Whatever, let's go already." And Magna at this point would then put him in a headlock, saying to watch his mouth, and the two begin to wrestle as Magna says that he needs to stop acting so friendly. They still don't trust him, but also, like, he's willing to give him some trust, so he better pay it back in good favor. Asta will say that he's not going to help them get revenge, however, he's just going to save the people he cares about. Whatever they do, they can do, but, like, they will have to atone anyway, or they're stripped of their magic, so good luck. Meanwhile, at the Clover Kingdom, the Shadow Palace has already been erected. Everything is left in shambles, and the streets are no longer even streets anymore, and fights are raging at this very moment, with the elves still continuing their rampage. But out of nowhere, the Black Bull formation drops from a portal, and people will notice, and the sky would then warp as all the rubble will be picked up to the sky, and a tornado would form, bringing it all up before it is then blown to bits by a barrage attack from Magna. And all of it would fall back to just ashes as Asta would let go of the sky and it returns to normal, and he then says to follow him. And as he flies through the skies, the people will be saying, "They're here, the Black Bulls have arrived. How did they make that thing?" The giant Black Bull then charges, with Asta taking care of the elves in their way, all the way until they reach the climax of the battle at the Shadow Palace, and the two sides are about to clash when they all feel Asta's presence, and Zora would then yell, "Took you long enough." Within the group of elves, Asta notices Ghosh and even Marie, and he breathes in as he forms his third eye. "Asta, that human is always getting in my way," thought Paltry, and at the speed of light, Asta would then move about, hitting all the elves, cancelling the spell on them, and they lose consciousness and begin to fall until he comes to a stop mid-air, and down below they are caught by some mages, and Fugolion would then approach Asta, saying, "Good thing you decided to join us." Asta would then turn and see Fugolion, not possessing the fire spirit salamander, and he would smile to see him back to normal. "Same to you. So, what do they really want?" Asta then sees some elves running into the Shadow Palace as if to escape, and he asks if anyone knows their actual goal, and before Fugolion can even say anything, Yami would then interrupt. "Hey, you idiots, we're heading in there." "Yes, Captain," they would all say, as Asta would then apologize, saying, "Sorry about that. I was going to suggest the same," says Fugolion. "We don't know what they want to do specifically. It's quite... Are you okay?" Asta would then be shedding some tears, and he just noticed that he was, and he would then wipe them away, saying, "Oh, it's a side effect of canceling the spells. I take some of their memories. They're quite grueling." "Well, what did you see?" "Their magic. Nobles massacred them and stole it. They even saw children and laughed." Fugolion cannot imagine the horror that they must have gone through and feels overwhelming rage, but is surprised that Asta can keep himself so composed, especially since anyone else would be driven insane by that kind of info if it was forced into their brain. But Asta notices worries and says, "Don't worry, I'll use that despair and help us win." Nero at that moment then flies and sits on Asta's head, as he would then say, "Oh, there you are. Seriously, where do you always go?" Nero then stays silent as he would then shrug his shoulders, with everyone then gathering and entering the Shadow Palace, and as they enter one by one, they find themselves in a bizarre space, obviously influenced by spatial magic, and the next thing he knew, Asta appeared in a ruin, and as he looks up, however, Mimosa will be falling towards him, only for Rika's arm to form and catch her. "Oh, thank you," says Mimosa, and the arm then lets her down, with Asta then thanking her as well, before then turning around and looking at his surroundings, and he realizes what is going on, so Mimosa starts to as well, even more, because there is a huge amount of mana, and so many layers of special magic. Around us, she says. Yeah, they don't want me to interfere, do they? He would say. Mimosa, using her magic, then shows a layout of the palace and finds that where they are stationed is distorted by a huge amount of magic being constantly fed to the area by barriers, by 3 elves, my bad. And Mimosa would then ask, can we get out? As she looks to Asta, he would then crack his neck and he holds his anti-magic katana forward as his muscles would then tense up and his veins begin to show. And he would tell Mimosa to hold on. When she does, he would then swing while uttering the words, thin icebreaker. In that one strike, he combines everything with his anti-magic, and Asta would instantly rip through the layers as if he was severing dimensions, and the 3 elves stationed to stop Asta are left baffled. How can one human exude that much power? As they try to hold on to the gigantic slash of anti-magic, or at least keep it away, it hits them all across the torso, smashing them up against the wall behind them, and they will lose consciousness. Asta and Mimosa then appear in the room, as Mimosa would then be completely dizzy, and she'll be thinking, Asta just keeps doing crazy things and I can't keep up. I think I just saw my life flash before my eyes. Rika, I have a feeling I'll be bringing you out real soon, says Asta, and inside her own little world, the queen would smile from ear to ear, whispering that she'll be ready. Meanwhile, the others continue their fights, with Noelle then going up against the elf that used to inhabit Fauna's body. Mereleona fought Veto, and Fogolion fought Kaiser, who was gonna be who actually was now the new captain of the Purple Orchis. Later on, Jack ends up helping Noelle with Fauna. Meanwhile, Yuno would find himself in the boss room of sorts, and he would be attacked from all sides from the combined attack of Paltry and Ryha. However, with the Dance of the Spirit, Yuno would avoid these attacks with ease before then blasting the two with a double Spirit Storm. How can he be this powerful in that short span of time? When it comes to magic talent, he might even surpass Licht, Ryha thinks. As Yuno moved forward, however, he's then snuck up on by an elf he had not noticed, and as he sways back, the elf will then grab and yank away his pendant. He lands, and the elf does as well as he becomes enraged, saying, "Give it back." Roan, the elf, would then say that with this they can finally set things straight, but a weird atmosphere would just set in as Ryha's eyes would then fill with doubt. "Who are you?" he asks. Partially would then say, "Ryha, what do you mean?" And Roan's innocent smile then becomes menacing as he would then whisper one word, and instantly Ryha would be filled with a gaping hole in his stomach. With a shocked look, Ryha would then realize that Roan was never who he said he was from the beginning, and he thuds to the floor as he begins to bleed out. What is going on, thought Yuno, as Paltry then asked Roan what the hell he was doing, and the elf then began to truly speak his mind. Today I will get what I should have gotten from the beginning. He then walks to the altar and sets up the magic stones, while Yuno will then also proceed to ask what's going on, what he's doing, and Roan would just be like setting down the stones and say, "You know the term, in the 5th leaf resides the devil? Well, since this place is a boundary between this world and the next, that means those words will soon mean much more than you could ever think." This does not sound good to Yuno, so he instantly attacks with a Spirit Storm, only for the spell to be reflected back at him as he would then dodge into the sky with the flip. But as he looks forward, the altar would then produce this strange goop that begins to clump together, and from Roan then exits a murky aura that enters this goop and forms Zagrid. The devil. Does he mean himself, thought Yuno? And the aura of this creature itself was just different, more dangerous. Asta was the only one thus far who could exude that kind of pressure, but this creature also seemed too similar to Asta in a certain sense, and Zagrid would then say, "Man, it's been long. Centuries, I think? Oh, it's you." Paltry would then say, "You know me?" That body would inhabit. I'll have it, and you experienced the same despair all those years ago, the same that I inflicted on the true Licht, says the devil, and Paltry asks what this means when he reveals that he manipulated the humans' greed to target the elves, and he would say, "Man, you're all so stupid." He's then interrupted by a kick to the face as the devil is then sent flying by Asta, who is shocked by the creature's appearance. "What are you?" As Zagrid comes to a stop, he's then left confused, and Mimosa will then fly in and see this creepy creature, and she's just as confused but also horrified by its mana. Asta then lands down by Yuno, going to ask what's going on, when Paltry goes insane, releasing a volley of light spears at Zagrid, who would utter the words vanish, and they dissipate into the air. Cursed speech? No, something different, says Asta. He can do the same thing you can, just with magic, asks Yuno. How did you hit me, human? Come here. His words then turned his wish to reality, with Asta appearing right in front of him, only for Zagrid to then hear him utter a word, and he's blown away by an invisible force into the walls of the palace. Instantly, however, Zagrid blows it all the way to rubble with a huge release of magic, as he would say, iron spears, and from below, spears would then reach for Asta, only for a burst of cursed energy to break it all, leaving the devil interested, right as Asta would then say, "Get twisted." Zagrid's body would then twist and snap in half, and he would become even more surprised, but with one word he heals himself, and this only sets in how powerful he is. Next, he shows his impressive speed by appearing right in front of Yuno and Paltry as he rips away the Elf's grimoire before then filling him with iron spears from below, and Yuno was then blown away before he can even do anything, just as Asta appears right in front of Zagrid, and his torso would split open. Rika, come out. Zagrid would then be confused when he then hears a warbling voice, and as the queen announces herself, she fully manifests and grows her only eye. She only has one eye. And Zagrid can feel the same thing from her that other devils would have, but something about her was different. She couldn't be classified into a certain class of devil. She was just weird. With one slash or one claw at Zagrid, she would rip him to shreds as he's then split to pieces, and he feels his magic being sucked away and realizes that this creature is dangerously powerful. What are you? I call her Rika. Some people call her the Queen of Curses, says Asta. How dare a human like you even possess such a thing? That's impossible. It's incorrigible. It's intolerable. It's unacceptable. Asta then enters Black Mode as he blitzes past the devil while screaming Black Meteorite, as he would then leave the creature with a gaping hole in his chest, and from this impact, Zagrid barely moves his heart out of the way in time, just as Rika would then scream, and her very voice, disturbs his mana. Mimosa, how's he coming? Asta would ask to Mimosa who will be healing Ryha, and she says that she can deal with it, and Ryha would then ask, why the hell is a human like you trying to heal me? Right now, I don't think that should matter, says Mimosa. I'm not just gonna watch someone die. Ryha is surprised by this reaction and this answer to his question, but asks why she isn't healing Yuno, to which she says, because Yuno is gonna become the Wizard King. At that moment, Yuno then charges past Zagrid, wielding Zephyr, as the devil would then once again be cut, and he notices the change in Yuno. That human, is he an anomaly as well? All of this. As he stares around, he finds that he is cornered and finds that Rika's pressure is still freezing him up, and this starts to make him cackle. I never told you what my magic was, did I? Soul magic. Now I'll let you experience the price of looking down on me. A portal then opens up behind him, releasing a bizarre mass of malicious goop that begins to fill the room, and the first to experience its effect would be Mimosa, as when she tries to block it with the barrier corrodes, and she almost gets eaten by right before Rika then saves her and Ryha. Thank you, but checking her map, she then shows that this is actually dropping from the top floor, so this place will be getting filled very soon and going after everyone. And after hearing this, they become worried, as Yuno would then fire a Spirit Storm, but the thing would just eat it. What? Yuno would say? And they then hear screams and start to see Paltry almost being surrounded by all of this stuff, and some of it dropped on him, burning his skin. Quickly, Asta would then break him out of there and heal him, but notices that he is still in a state of shock after learning the truth about his past, and he was just in a jumbled state, mumbling and mumbling until Asta headbutts him, saying, "Wake the hell up, it's not time to despair. What would you know, human? It was me. This entire time I was being manipulated. Because of me, all my brethren are gonna suffer." His eyes filled with tears and despair, but this only makes Asta more angered. Then how about you get off your ass and do something about it? Because I didn't heal you just so you can laze around. Sometimes the only way to survive is to grate your teeth and bear with it. That is the only way. Asta's words leave everyone speechless, maybe because it was the way that he said it, because they sounded so greedy and murderous, or maybe it was his eyes that showed unrelenting passion, but it's as if he experienced something much more worse than the elves themselves. Despite all that, his mental fortitude allows Paltry to toughen up as he pushes away Asta and begins to fly. I don't want to be lectured by a human, so fine. Good. Rika, give me everything. Raising his hand, Asta would then gain his ring and burst with ridiculous amount of cursed energy that can be felt by recovering Zagrid that was running away to the upper floors. However, as he flies away and reaches the door, he barely sways back, dodging a divine judgment blast from Licht, and he turns to face the elf. You're here, huh? What? Want revenge? Licht would then charge with an emotionless look, and with a light slash, he cuts Zagrid's arm off, but with his words, he returns completely fine, and he just heals himself, and he then blitzes and goes to rip the leader with his trident that he then forms out of nowhere, but he's then told to stop and becomes frozen as he's then blown away into a storm of goop by Lumiere, who had just arrived with Nero, who was in human form. So for now, I will refer to her as Sekre. That is her real name. I will refer to her as Sekre for now. Asta did stop Zagrid, but Lumiere and Nero just came in right in time to blow him away. And as they arrive, as do Asta and Paltry and Mimosa, along with Nozel not being there, and Yuno of course is in there, and Ryha. Ryha is just like being stationed, like being taken care of. There's like little floating rocks, so they just lay him there for now. And Asta would then blow away like a huge amount of massive like goop using his cursed energy on the way, and like in the entire room when he arrived, he just blew everything away. The point is he's OP. So As the two groups meet, the Clover Mages wonder who the two individuals before them are, but then realize, the statue, says Asta. Are you the first Wizard King? Asks Yuno. How could that be possible, thought Nozel, as Mimosa would then say he still looks like a statue somehow. Oh, who are they? Asked Lumiere, and Secretary would then say they're magic knights who defend the Clover Kingdom, but right now, we should help Licht. You do that. I'll kill the devil, says Asta, and at this moment he looks around, and from behind, the storm releases tendrils, only for Asta to just grab space and pull to the left, making them all turn, before he then punches the air, and a crack through space reaches where Zagreus is hiding, and it blows away the entire storm to reveal the devil, as he would spew blood. Meanwhile, Lumiere and Secretary fly to Licht, and Lumiere is left shocked that Asta could do that without magic. Some crazy things have happened over the past years, huh, Licht? Secretary, meanwhile, would then focus and use her sealing magic to bring back Licht, who would finally be able to show real emotion, and he would say thank you. I forgot to say that last time, but thank you, Lumiere. Oh, and you as well. Yuta looks to Secretary, who says no problem, and they then hear a giant thump, and past them flies the devil, with Asta chasing after it, and as it comes to a stop, he and Zagreus clash weapons, and they both say, be blown away, and they're sent flying, as Asta is then caught by Nozel, who releases his silver rain, but it is simply returned to him by the devil, only for Asta to then yell, explode. The attacks then explode, and Lumiere and Licht look at each other shocked. Secretary, how is he? Don't. Since it would take too long to explain this, in short terms he can gain power by using negative emotions. Thanks to this, he has otherworldly powers. It also lets him copy curses, and the most terrifying one of all is that one. As he says this, they'll hear her roaring, and Rika makes herself known once again, as she then dashes at Zagreus, punching him across the face and sending him flying, as he would then be intercepted by Asta, who slashes his torso, and it would burst with positive energy. This is different. And that creature, they both can hurt me for real now. Seeing he was cornered, he then releases a storm of blaze that while Rika simply swats away, Asta cuts through as he would then yell, now. And that appears right in front of Zagreus and blows through his stomach with a spirit storm. And he would say, I'm aware you probably had a relationship spanning over centuries, but could you give us some help? The ladies don't apologize and jump in as they move at the speed of light, but just as they strike Zagreus, their magic attacks get reinforced by positive energy, and they feel it before they cut through the devil, and the devil is left hacked up, and he then yells for them to be blown away, and they are, as he then starts to slowly heal himself. That power, says Lumiere. I can also harness positive energy as well. I assume Nero gave you the rundown, says Asta. How did you know it was me? That's Nero, asks Yuno, and Asta says yep. And Asta, as he says this, a storm of swords come at them, and they're all forced to block and cut through them, but Asta says you both have the same plain look of indifference. Besides that, this isn't gonna work. He and my abilities are matched, so I have one final move. None of you can interfere. Hearing this, they wonder what he's talking about, but it also sounds like it could work because he sounds so confident, and Lumiere would then ask, do you need any kind of help at all, young man? Asta would then shake his head as Rika would then appear right behind him, and reaching her hands out, she would then smile as Asta raises his right hand. Yoiki Tenkai. Kyoku. A gigantic spear that explodes from the two, blowing back everyone and Zagreus' swords, and the devil will find himself cornered, and from outside, everyone sees that the storm of bizarre magic starts to just go away, and Secretary would say, he trapped him? No, he's told me about this before. It's the pinnacle of his curse powers. He's never used it before, though. As they wonder what was going on in there, the devil becomes confused as he now stands somewhere unfamiliar. A playground in the modern world. It was day, yet this place that was supposed to be full of light seemed quiet. Looking forward, he would then not see Asta or the Queen of Curses or anyone familiar. He saw Yuta and Rika as children holding hands. What is this? Throwing his pitchfork at the two, he then goes to kill them, but the space then warps and shatters it, with the devil then hearing a voice as he then barely turns in time, and he's slapped across the face into the sky by an upside down Uro Takako. And as he gets up, after hearing the voice of this woman, he would then see a naked woman who had space itself covering her. It's been a while, huh, Kotsu, she would say, as Zagreus then spews blood from the attack that she had landed on him, and he then goes to scream, only for his mouth to then be grabbed shut by a scarred woman, who slams a punch into his face, and absolutely blows him away and crushes him. You talk way too much, said Maki, and as he's sent flying, from behind him a gigantic granite blast blows through his stomach from Ryu Ishigori, who would fix his hair, saying, you just can't take it, can you? What is this? I can't heal, this isn't magic, so I don't know. How? As he's sent flying, a shadow then covers him as he turns to see a gorilla panda hybrid. I thought I was creepy, he said, as he then smashes him in the face with both hands, and he's sent flying down, and waiting for him will be Megumi, who summons his demon Dr. Totally that claws through the devil's stomach. Shatter, the devil would yell, as the stomach will then shatter to pieces, and he comes down with a kick to Megumi, who goes to block it, only for someone to then catch his foot. Took you long enough, Megumi said to Yuji, who smiles as he would then pull in Zagrid. Keite Ken. Hitting him right where his heart should be, he delivers a double impact, blowing through him, and Zagrid would then choke as he would manage to slip away from Yuji's grip just barely and flies up. And as he looks around, he sees all these people everywhere. He does not know who they are. You confused? From below, Zagrid then sees Asta appear as he would then smile, saying, "This is my domain. When you're in here, one particular memory will be revisited. Me and Rika at the best time of our innocence. We need to lock arms for my friends to keep coming at you, though. We let go, and they stop hurting you, and it all ends, and it's perfect for you, because, you know, we can't move, but that doesn't mean that you'll reach us anyway. These powers, these are the people he stole it from, then. I've never seen any of them in all my times," thought Zagrid. Walking past Asta would then be Toge Inumaki, who would then say, "Okaka," as he would then pull down his mask and yell, "Be crushed." Zagrid is then brought down to the ground and blows through the playground sandbox as he would then explode with blood. And looking to Asta, Inumaki then waves with a smile before then fading, and Zagrid would claw his way back up, only to see his hands then be stomped by Gojo Satoru. Man, you're weak. You should have more power than normal, but too bad. Zagrid's entire body, soul, every being, every fiber of his very being tells him one thing. Out of all these people, this man was on another level. As an organism, he was on another level. You're not from this world, are you? Nope. Oh, that's my sensei, by the way, says Asta. Gojo then pulls down his blindfold, revealing his 6 eyes. He then steps off Zagrid, who will then be pulled up by the infinity, unable to move. Explode, he would yell, but Gojo's infinity stops the sound waves, and instantly, as he smiles, he would then form a gigantic purple orb, and in one thrust, he would then rip apart the devil, leaving nothing behind, and the domain begins to crack. A blinding light would then flash, and from behind, all the people that he had known for years would push Asta forward, and he brings a tears. A blinding light would then flash, and from behind, all the people who had known Asta, or I guess Yuta, for years and years would then push him forward, and it brings tears to his eyes. Bye, guys. With his eyes closed, Asta would then leave the domain, and this is when he is tackled and hugged by Yuno. That was awesome. What did you... Oh, did something happen in there? Asta would then wipe his tears, saying, "Nah, just happy this is finally over." Everyone then gathers, and they thank him for finishing the battle, with Paltry and Licht then saying it's good they finally see the one who has made them suffer for once and just be gone. Yeah, you should thank her too. He then points to a floating Rika, but in a childish form, and they're confused, but Yuno knows who it is. Why does Rika look so young? That spirit? That's her? Asked Nozel. As a side effect of my domain, Rika stays in that form for a while. Holding his hands out, he would then welcome Rika to fly to him, and she would do so as he would then hug her and thank her for once again helping him through this tough time. And with these words, she would then slowly fade into her void. It all still feels unreal. So this is the future of the Glory Kingdom, huh? Says Lumiere. No, he's simply an anomaly, says Sakurai. Okay, you have horns, and he's a literal statue. It's not that weird anymore, yells Asta, and they would begin to slightly chuckle. At that moment, a portal would then open up, and from above, everyone else who was in the palace would then fall in, and Noelle begin to fall to Asta. She would then ask, "Did you finish it?" And with a nod, Asta would then put a thumbs up, and she smiled just as the building would begin to crumble. So they realize they need to leave, and Radius and Valtus also join in, and they fly out. As they do, however, they find the elves still terrorizing everything. They're still needlessly destroying everything. We need to explain everything, or at least rule them in, says Lumiere. All of them? Asked Noelle. Let's just knock them out, says Mereleona. And Paltry, thinking about it, would then go to say something when Asta flies out, and taking his normal katana, he would then put away the anti-magic katana, and the grimoire is then stored away as he rolls up his sleeves, and he would then raise the weapon. Let me help. Are you sure about that? This is more in the magical territory, says Sakurai. Yeah, but it's also in the category of souls. I can do that much, especially since I learned a little neat trick. Rika, you got it, right? Still being the childish version of herself, Rika would then form and pat him on the head as he would then grow the horns of Zagrid, and Lumiere would then say, "Don't tell me he killed him, but he also copied some of his powers." What says curse more than the devil, says Yuno. Return, says Asta, as using Zagrid's soul magic, he then pulls in all the writhing souls of the elves who gather before him in a terrifying mass of pain and anger. Oh, I think this is where you guys come in, he would say, and looking at each other, Paltry and Licht with a nod, and turning to Valtos, Paltry would then notice that he has his grimoire and ask for it. And though hesitant to trust them, he gives it over. "I'm sorry," says Paltry, and Valtus would then say, "It's a bit late for that, but you were still the same man who saved me that day." With a sorrowful smile, he then turns, seeing Radies, who was still raging at him, and he looks to Asta, who tells Rika to cancel the spell, and with a nod, she brings out the anti-magic katana, and Charmy would then say, "I don't think I'll ever get used to that form, but she's so adorable." And Rika, with the calming voice, would then say, "Thank you," and she taps Paltry on the head, and As he looks to Ryha, Fauna, and Veto, he says, I guess I'll be going on there first. I'm sorry, Licht. Please take care of the rest. The elves then all nod, and the spell is gone, with Vengeance then returning back to normal with his scars and all. Captain Vengeance, says Yuno, and Vengeance will then say, Yuno, everyone. Not the time for that. We'll do this later. You know what you gotta do, right? Says Yami. Turning to see everything, the hurt souls that Asta was containing, Vengeance would then clench his fist, saying that he was ready. So raising his sword, Licht would then combine his magic with Vengeance's magic, forming the spirit light tree. From below, the citizens then see that it is all about to end and breathe a sigh of relief as the souls are reached by Licht, and he tells them what happened, so they start to remember their old selves and return to normal. With this, Asta lets them go and they go free to the tree, satisfied. Many of them regain their looks of happiness and thank the Clover Mages, but also Asta, who was surprised. We never thought a human could hold so much sadness. Seeing you do it made us wonder what we could have done. Well, it's a bit too late, but just take your rest. You've earned it. His smile would then make the elves more teary, wondering how he can still smile with such a warm face, and they begin to leave while Licht then says goodbye, and Charla, who overtook Rose's body, would then say, I actually enjoy fighting with you, Yami Sukahiro. See, it's not that hard to be honest with yourself, is it? With a smile, Charla would then leave, saying she's at least better than the woman she was inhabiting, and as Charlotte's body would fall towards Yami, and he catches her, he would be confused by that sentence. Licht then says goodbye to his closest and only human friend, but as he ascends, Asta would then say, wait, I know it's a bit late to bring this up, but this book, what happened to it? But whatever it did, it's no longer mine. It's yours, human. No, Asta. Thank you for taking on the burden of my brethren. Yuno then runs up as well, as he then loses his elf form, saying, the one that came to inhabit my body. You know him, right? Yeah, it was quite the experience to fight alongside my son. Well, that was a twist, says Asta, and with this, Licht then leaves, and they all then watch them disappear. Ryha, Veto, and Fauna can't, however, since the way they came back, their souls are now fixed to the bodies they currently have. But one person was not satisfied by this, as Radius then thought, wait a minute, hell no, I want my revenge. And activating his magic, he brings back Paltry's soul, and he dumps it into one of the bodies that was made for Licht by Sally. Paltry? You brought him back? Says Ryha, and Radius then say, I didn't do it for him, I did it for me. Sally made that body for you, luckily enough. You do not get to just live a happily ever after, you bastard. You hear me? You kept talking about trampling humans. I am one of them. Now you get to stay with the rest of us. I can't say I disagree, honestly, says Asta. What's done is done. Now you can atone for it, everything you've done, and he can atone for his sins. They all can. It may anger you for me to say this, but thank you for letting me atone, Rady, says Paltry. And Rady then turns, saying that he hopes he has a horrible life, and he goes to leave with Valtos and Sally, when he then says, don't worry, we'll do that atoning thing. We lose our magic if we don't, right? That was the deal, says Asta. With this, they leave, so Paltry gets to meet Vengeance face to face, and this brings this arc to an end. Moving out, the mages and Asta start to work on picking up rubble, rescuing and healing people, as Sekre and Lumiere are forced to say goodbye because time is up for the young Wizard King, yet somehow still the oldest and biggest relic of this entire battle. And as Noelle and Mimosa watch them say goodbye, Noelle still cannot believe that this is their ancestor right in front of them, the first Wizard King, Lumiere Silva Vermilion. It's like seeing an old relic and no one's ever gonna know about it, she says. Yeah, it's kinda sad, said Mimosa. Asta, meanwhile, is summoned to meet Julius by Yami and Vengeance, but when he meets him, he is surprised because he is now a child. What happened to you, he would ask. A little trouble with Licht, or should I say Paltry. I had to use a lot of power to save myself. This is the result. Well, why did you call me? Something worse happened? Well, here's the thing. As you can see, we're significantly weakened. The other kingdoms are not attacking for one reason. You. As he points to Asta, he says, okay, but why? It's not like I've been pushing everyone to know my exploits. I don't publish this stuff, so how do they know about me? Yami says, they barely do, but your cursed energy is pretty terrifying though, and Rika's appearance as Asta, she has gotten pretty strong lately. So what do you want me to do? Well, aside from everything I've just told you, the House of Kira might be trying to get at you soon. You are aware of the power you wield, yes? It's that of a devil, says Julius. Asta would then nod, realizing that his devil must be completely different from Zagreus and kind of special, but he says, well, it is what it is. I'm not going down that easy. And I will end this part here. Welcome to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This part was awesome. I don't care what anybody says. One of my favorite Asta series so far. and this means that soon I can finally kind of finish this and challenge someone else, and so someone can keep this challenge going, and we can have more fun with it, have people actually kind of propelling this whole thing and get the whole community together. So I really gotta hurry up and finish this. Of course, I'm gonna take my time, but like, you get what I'm trying to say. Urgency, urgency. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's all I'm gonna say. It really is just one of my favorite. This was probably one of my favorite parts to write for this series. And Asta just got to do a lot, and I got to make him do his domain. That shit is awesome. You cannot deny it. If you do, you're in denial, bro. All right, I'm gonna leave, work on other videos. I will see you guys later. Peace.
Oh darling, if I had bought you flowers, would you still be here by my side? Yeah, I thought this moment could be ours, while I'm walking lonely through the night. You can break my bones, break all the promises, but leave me alone. Don't break my heart. You should fucking stay with him. You should fucking stay with him.